My grandson called me Oma Frankenstein at the Thanksgiving table, and his college friends laughed into their wine glasses. I was 69 years old. I had paid every cent of his private school tuition for 3 years. $62,000 a year, wired straight to the bursar in Boston. He did not know that. His mother knew. She told him to stop. He laughed harder. I cut the pumpkin pie into 8 even slices and passed the plates down the table. Nobody noticed my hands were perfectly steady. That was the part that should have frightened them. My name is Annalisa. I was born in Hamburg in the winter of 1957, in an apartment that still had bullet holes in the stairwell from the war. I came to America in 1979 with 1 suitcase, a Fulbright scholarship, and a vocabulary of about 400 English words, most of them chemistry terms. I have been widowed twice. I worked for 31 years as a research chemist at a pharmaceutical company outside Philadelphia. I retired with a good pension and a quiet house and a habit of saying yes when my daughter asked for things. My daughter Margaret married a kind man named David, and they had 1 son, Tyler. He was born on a Tuesday in October, and I drove 4 hours that night to hold him before he was a day old. I remember his hair was the color of wet sand. I remember thinking he smelled like warm bread. I remember promising him, silently, that I would always be the grandmother who showed up. I kept that promise for 22 years. When Tyler was accepted to a private business school in Boston, Margaret called me crying. The tuition was $62,000 a year. They could not do it. David had just been laid off. I told her I would handle it. I told her not to tell Tyler. I said a young man should believe he earned his own education. She agreed. She thanked me. She said I was a saint. For 3 years, I wired the money directly to the bursar every August and every January. $62,000 twice a year. I cut back on small things. I stopped getting my hair colored. I drove my old Volvo instead of replacing it. I told myself it did not matter. He was the only grandchild I would ever have. Last November, Margaret invited me for Thanksgiving. She said Tyler was bringing 4 friends from school. She said it would be lovely. She said I should wear something festive. I wore the navy blue dress my second husband bought me in 1998. It still fit. I drove the 2 hours to their house with a pumpkin pie on the passenger seat. I had made the crust from scratch. I had used the recipe my own mother used in Hamburg, the one with cold butter and a splash of cider vinegar. The smell filled the car. I remember thinking it was a good smell, a safe smell. The friends were already there when I arrived, 3 boys and 1 girl. They were polite in the way young people are polite when they do not really see you. They shook my hand. They said it was nice to meet me. The girl complimented my dress. I thanked her. I sat at the end of the table next to Tyler, who kissed me on the cheek and said, "Hello, Oma," in the voice he had used since he was 5. Dinner was fine for the first 20 minutes. David carved the turkey. Margaret passed the green beans. Someone asked me where I was from originally, and I said Hamburg, and the conversation moved on. I poured myself a small glass of Riesling. I felt happy. That is the part I keep returning to. I felt happy. Then Tyler started doing the voice. He was telling a story to his friends about something I had said on the phone the week before. He did my accent. He stretched the vowels. He made the R sound like he was clearing his throat. He called me Oma Frankenstein. He said it twice. His friends laughed. The girl looked uncomfortable for about 3 seconds and then laughed too. Margaret said, "Tyler, stop it." She said it the way she used to tell him to stop chewing with his mouth open, soft, almost amused. He did not stop. He did it again, louder. He said something about how I sounded like I was casting a spell when I asked him to pass the salt. The boys howled. I looked at David. David was looking at his plate. He was cutting his turkey into very small pieces. I did not say anything. I did not stand up. I did not leave. I picked up the pie knife and I cut the pumpkin pie into 8 even slices. I served Tyler first because he was on my right. I served his friends. I served Margaret and David. I served myself last. I ate 3 bites. The crust was good. My mother would have been pleased. After dinner, I helped Margaret with the dishes. She did not mention what had happened. She talked about a sale at a department store. She asked if I wanted to take leftovers home. I said no, thank you. I said I was tired. I said I would drive back in the morning. I slept in the guest room. The sheets smelled like lavender. I lay awake until almost 4 in the morning, looking at the ceiling, listening to the heater click on and off. I was not crying. I was thinking about the apartment in Hamburg with the bullet holes. I was thinking about my mother teaching me to make pie crust on a marble slab she had carried out of the rubble. I was thinking about how I had crossed an ocean alone at 22 with 400 English words in a suitcase, and how my grandson thought my voice was a costume. I drove home at 6 in the morning. I did not say goodbye. I left a note on the kitchen counter that said, "Thank you for dinner." I signed it Mom. On Monday morning at 9 o'clock, I called the bursar's office at the business school in Boston. I spoke to a woman named Patricia. I had spoken to her many times over the years. She always called me doctor and pronounced my name correctly. I told her I needed to rescind the third-party payer authorization for the spring semester, effective immediately. She paused. She asked if everything was all right. I said everything was fine. She said she would send me a confirmation email within the hour. She did. I printed it. I put it in the folder in my desk where I keep important documents. I did not call Margaret. I did not call Tyler. I did not call David. I made coffee. I folded the laundry that had been sitting in the dryer since Wednesday. I watered the orchid on my kitchen windowsill, the one my second husband gave me 3 months before he died. It was still blooming. It had been blooming for 11 years. Tyler found out at registration on the 8th of January. His student account was frozen. He could not enroll in his spring courses. He called Margaret. Margaret called me at 4 in the afternoon while I was reading a chemistry journal in my armchair. She was crying before I picked up. She said, "Mom, what did you do?" She said, "Tyler is devastated." She said he has not eaten since the registrar told him. She said he might have to drop out. She said, "Do you understand what you have done?" She said this on November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. And then she said it again on January 8th. And the words sounded exactly the same both times. I am not sure why I am remembering it that way. Maybe it was only once. Maybe I dreamed the first time. I just remember being cold. I let her cry for a while. Then I told her very kindly that I had decided to invest in someone who could pronounce my name. I said it once. I did not repeat it. I said I loved her. I said I was going to hang up now. I hung up. She called back 11 times that evening. I did not answer. The next morning, David called. I let it go to voicemail. He did not leave a message. Tyler called 3 days later. He left a voicemail that was 42 seconds long. He said, "Oma, I am so sorry." He said he did not mean it. He said it was a joke. He said, "Please." He said, "Please," 3 times. I listened to it once and then I deleted it. I did not feel anything. That was the part that surprised me. I thought I would feel something. In February, I contacted the Fulbright office and asked about their host family program. They connected me with a young woman from Leipzig named Hannah. She is 23. She is studying environmental engineering at a university about 20 minutes from my house. She moved into my guest room in March. I pay her tuition and her living expenses. It costs me about the same as Tyler's school did. I have the money. I would rather spend it on someone who looks me in the eye when I speak. Hannah cooks with me on Sunday evenings. We make the things my mother used to make: rouladen, spätzle, apple cake with the cold butter crust. She corrects my German sometimes because the language has moved on without me in the 47 years I have been gone. I do not mind. I like learning what I have lost. She calls me Oma. She started doing it in April without asking. She said it the first time while we were drying dishes, very naturally, like it had always been her word for me. I did not correct her. I did not cry. I just handed her the next plate. Margaret and I have spoken twice since January. Both times were short. She wants me to apologize. She wants me to pay for Tyler's last year so he can graduate on time. She says he has changed. She says he has been in therapy. She says he writes me letters he never sends. I told her I was glad he was in therapy. I told her I would not be paying any more tuition. I told her I loved her. I meant it. I think I meant it. Tyler took a job at a coffee shop in Boston to pay for community college classes. He is 23 years old now. Hannah is also 23. I think about that sometimes when I am making coffee in the morning, standing at the counter in my bathrobe, watching the orchid on the windowsill that has been blooming for 11 years. The pie knife is still in the drawer next to the stove. I used it again last Sunday. I made a pumpkin pie for Hannah because she had never had one. I cut it into 8 even slices. My hands were perfectly steady. They have been steady my whole life. That is the part nobody ever noticed. That is the part I am only now beginning to understand.